Hi everyone, I'm Reen Wilcoxon, owner of Embroidery Garden, and welcome to my July demo. For this month's demo, I'm going to be using one of my in the hoop zipper bags, but I'm going to show you how to create this front panel on the bag using adhesive and foil. I've also done the little tassel with the foil, and we're going to talk about that. Let's see if there are any comments coming up. Let me know where you're from. I do have a special guest here. Hi, Caroline. Hi, Arnell. Molly from Molly Made Designs is here helping me today because this kind of technique here, the files that we're using, it's been a collaboration between Molly and I for some time now. Hi, Janet. Hi, JB. Hi, Ashley. Thanks for joining. So how is this created? And let me bring it up here a little bit and let me kind of move it around so you can see how it changes color. Isn't that cool? And that's because it's iridescent foil. So the things that we're going to need, and let me start talking about my In the Hoop zippered bag set. This is the set you have to work with the files that Molly made because this all works in conjunction. So if you bought Molly's SVG files, they're not going to work with a different Embroidery Garden bag set. They're not going to work with another designer's bag set. They're only going to work with this bag set. So, we got somebody here from Norway, Molly. Wow. Cool. All right, so in my In the Hoop zipper bag set, which has been out for a while, there are 11 sizes of bags in this set. They're made in the hoop. They're fully lined. There are no raw edges inside. And they come, let me get this one, whoops, up closer. They come with stippling and they come plain. There's no quilting on them. So you have in these square sizes, 4x4, 5x5, 6x6, 7x7, 8x8, and 9.5 by 9.5. These kind of came out when the Dream Machine was the machine that I was using, and the hoop went up to 9.5. So also included are the rectangular sizes, 5x7, 6x10, 7x12, 8x12, and the larger 9.5 by 14 size bags. So I did this bag set, like I said, I don't know, could be 6 years ago, could even be 8 years ago. I'm not 100% sure. Here's someone from Ontario. So that's great. Thanks for joining us, Karen. Hi, Lillian. Hi, Vicki. Hi, Bonnie. It looks like we got a lot of people here. This is so cool. So I'm happy to see so many people are watching this. So to do this, you got to have the Embroidery Garden In the Hoop zippered bag set. And after I did this bag set, one day, I don't know, I thought, I'm going to try cutting a cork overlay for it. And by that, I mean this. So this panel here is cork, and these are cut out. They're actually cut out of the cork, so you can see the fabric behind the cutouts. And I did a simple pattern, and I thought it was really cool. And Molly happened to come to my house. Remember that, Molly?
I do.
Molly came over to my house, and I showed it to her, and she thought it was really cool too. And I told her, I'd really like to do this technique for all of the bags in my In the Hoop zippered bag set. But I said, I'm really not that good with SVG files and I don't have the time. And Molly spoke up and said, hey, I want to do it. So I said, great, go for it. So then Molly came out with an entire set of, this one she calls petals. Is that right, Molly?
Yes.
This is the petal version that she did. Now, in her petal set, and in all three of her sets that she has out now, she includes 2 different files for every size bag. So, for example, on this 6x10 bag, you would get this file to make this pattern, plus another different pattern for the 6x10. So there are 11 sizes of bags in the Hoop zippered bag set, and there are 22 files, cut files in Molly's petal set for these bags. Now in these bags too, we had to figure out how to line up the panel which is cut first before the bag is even started, on the front of the bag so that it looks nice, because you can only imagine how these designs would look if they weren't centered on the bag. So I'll talk about how they get centered in a little bit. But Molly also has, this is a heart pattern for, again, all the sizes of the In the Hoop zippered bag set, 22 files again. Each size would have 2 different styles. So this is one. Here, I'm just going to show you some of Molly's bags that she brought as samples. This is another style of the petals. Here's a really pretty one of the hearts. Now remember, these are all cut out of cork. You could cut them out of marine vinyl. Have you done that, Molly?
Yes, I have.
Molly's cut them out of marine vinyl too. Look how pretty that is. This is a teal cork. And note too, let me tell you right now, Molly has put all 3 sets of her cut files on sale for 20% off. That's going to end Sunday night, Molly? Sunday at midnight. So her cut files are all on sale. Embroidery Gardens In the Hoop bag set is on sale for 20% off until Sunday night at midnight. So Molly can go ahead and put her website in for the cut files, the SVG files, and she can put a link to Embroidery Gardens In the Hoop bag set. So here's another one. Look how pretty all these are. This is another heart. Now, Molly also just came out with a diamond motif. Again, 22 files that are exclusively made to fit the Embroidery Garden In the Hoop zippered bag set. So look how pretty this is. So this is the diamond shape. Here's another petal. These are also pretty. Here's another petal. I'm just trying to get you to see that there are so many different SVG files in each of these sets. Another one of her heart motifs. No, you do not, Ginger, you do not need a code. Thank you for asking that. I failed to mention, you don't need a code for Molly's SVG files. You don't need a code for the In the Hoop zippered bag set either. They're already on sale. You just go and, you know, put them in your cart. You don't need to apply a code. Here's one that Molly did. This is the heart. Now she used foil on this one because after I did that first foil bag, we thought you could use any of Molly's SVG files. So on this one, she used a pretty teal foil. Look how cute that is. And here's another diamond one. And this is like a black foil she put on here. Look how cool that looks. Here's another heart one. I'm just going to show all of Molly's samples that she brought. This one she added a long strap to. So the bags are very, very versatile. You get all the sizes and these things that you can do with them. You can make them in fabric. You can use any of Molly's cork, her SVG files to make cork overlays. Now we can use them to make foil or glitter HTV. Look at this one. Isn't that cool? All right, so that's some samples. Oops, here's our itty bitty one, the 4x4. Pardon me?
Someone's asking a question about whether or not they have to use your bag patterns for these designs.
Someone asked if you have to use Embroidery Gardens In the Hoop bag set. Yes, you do, because Molly created the files specifically for my bags. So if you tried to take Molly's files, use them on any other Embroidery Garden bag set, they're not going to work. They're not going to center. They're not going to be cut the correct size, and they're not going to work with any other designer's bag sets. You have to use Embroidery Gardens In the Hoop bags, zippered bags, and Molly's SVG files. We collaborated on this. This is exclusive to Embroidery Garden. Like I said, I came up with the original idea of the cork overlay, I'm thinking maybe about 6 years ago. And then here's one that Molly did, her new diamonds, and she did a glitter HTV. Isn't that cool? Arnell, the foil does not peel off because we're going to apply it with an adhesive and a heat press. And we're going to start talking about that right now. Molly also has these cute, cool little tassels. These are SVG files, and there are 7 sizes of these. And they make the cutest little zipper pulls for the bags, and the larger ones can be used for all sorts of things. And I'm going to talk about how I foiled the fabric and cut these for my one bag that I did. So let's talk about the supplies that we need. Let me move some of this stuff. Okay, so I'm going to show you the bag again. It's so cute, isn't it? And what you need is double-sided adhesive. Now, I bought my double-sided adhesive and all my foils that I'm going to show you in just a minute from Mid-South Crafting Supplies. I also have been to both Mid-South Sewing Centers, one in Knoxville and one in Murfreesboro, where I loaded up on stuff when I was actually at the store. I think Molly got quite a few things when she was with me at the Murfreesboro store a few weeks ago. Molly said she went a little crazy. Okay, so this is the double-sided adhesive. We need this. You notice one side is shiny and the other side is dull. Okay, so you need that double-sided adhesive. Ashley, the zipper, you brought up the zipper, so let me just talk about that a second. This one, it's a rainbow iridescent. Now, I got it from camsnaps.com, but I don't know if Judy is still carrying these zippers any longer. All you have to do is Google faux metal iridescent or rainbow zipper, and you'll find links to some. And note, this is not a metal zipper. Even though it looks metal, it's not. Don't ever use a metal zipper in an in-the-hoop bag design. So besides the double-sided adhesive, you need foil. And this is the exact foil I use. And you can even see in the lights here, as I turn it, it kind of shimmers and changes colors and just makes it like really cool looking. This one was from Mid-South Crafting, and it is rainbow iridescent. So let me just show you, and that's the one I used on the bag, my sample bag that I just showed you. Here are my foils, my bucket of foils. So, I mean, they come in all kinds of colors. Here's like a clear kind of, I think this one may be called cracked ice, you know, beautiful colors, reds. This one I really like. Some of them are not iridescent. Here's a gunmetal. It doesn't matter though if it's iridescent or not. This one, I love this color, a pretty green. These two, the green and the gold, if you saw my post in Rhonda's group from A Stitch in Time Designs where I did Jonathan's sunflower, these are the foils I used. I used the gold and I used the green under that beautiful sunflower he digitized. This one is really cool. You can just see there are all kinds. Here's a Michelle, this one's for you, little leopard print. So there are all kinds of foils you can use. So let me go back to my foil. And so here's a piece that I've cut. Foil is, it's very thin. You can kind of maybe hear it kind of crinkle. It's got the pretty side, and then it's got usually just like a dull side on the back. Arnell, you can cut these files, the SVG files, with any cutting machine that will read an SVG file. I use a ScanNCut. Molly uses a ScanNCut. I know she also has a Silhouette, and you can use a Cricut. Anything that's going to read an SVG file. You Cricut users, you know, the only problem with the Cricut is it does not bring an SVG in at the correct size. You have to resize it, and you know, I'm not real familiar with that. With Molly's SVG files, you know, we can't really provide a lot of cutting support or, you know, setting support with things. But if you join our friend Stephanie from So Stephanie Says, she has a So Stephanie Says Crafty Facebook group. Stephanie can help you with all of this stuff, with your cutting machines, with files, with HTV, with, you know, this foil, sublimation. She has online classes. She has videos in her group, and Molly will put that, she just put that link up for Stephanie's group. Stephanie works at Mid-South Sewing, so she knows a lot about this stuff. Oh, Arnell, I see, can you use, hi Amy, thanks for joining. I see you're asking, are the foils for the Cricut. The foil, we're not going to cut the foil, okay? You're going to see how this is all done. The foil will not be cut. It's way too thin to cut, okay? So we need our double-sided adhesive, we need our piece of foil, and we need fabric, because we're actually going to create this piece. This is piece B from the zippered bag set. So we have to create this first before we start the bag. So this is one that I'm going to show you how to do today. This is from Molly's new diamond set. This is for a 5x7 bag. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to take you to my ScanNCut, where, let me just kind of make sure I got it turned on over here. Kind of went to sleep a little bit. So let me show you this first before we start. And it's going to be hard to see, but I've already put my piece of double-sided adhesive down. And it's hard to see because it's clear. You put it shiny side down. Okay, it has to be cut shiny side down. And to give you an idea, I'm going to explain it first, and then I'm actually going to go to the machine and show you how I did this. What we need to do is we need to take our foil, we need to take our double-sided adhesive, and we need to cut it. In the end, we are going to end up with a piece of double-sided adhesive that has the pattern cut out. In this case, it's going to be the diamonds. It's the exact size it needs to be. We're going to have a piece of foil. This is just, hand cut with scissors, the same size, or it doesn't really have to be the same size, but as long as it's going to cover your adhesive. And you're going to have a piece of fabric that is the same size also. And I'm going to cut these two parts on the ScanNCut. Now, here is where it's going to get a little bit tricky maybe for some of you to understand. First, I'm going to cut the double-sided adhesive. The first thing I want to cut out are the diamond shapes in this one. You can either do the petals, the diamonds, or the hearts. I'm going to do the diamonds, but when it cuts the inside pattern out, the pattern that we are going to be applying the foil to, we only want it to do a half cut. If you're familiar with working with vinyl, you know about half cut. That means it's only cutting like the one layer, it's leaving the carrier sheet on. Then I'm going to take that same piece of double-sided adhesive that I cut these triangles out of, and then I'm going to use it and I'm going to cut the shape. It's not going to be taken off the mat or anything until there's been two cuts. I'm not moving it. I'm not taking the mat off the machine. We're going to get the two cuts from bringing in the file. After that, I'm going to cut the fabric the same way on the ScanNCut. And I already have fabric loaded on another mat just to save time. The thing is that we want, by doing that outline, is we want that little notch. And I'm going to, let's see, I think if I put this one up here, can you see that notch? Do you see it, Molly? On the, oh, okay, on the double-sided adhesive, there's a little notch right there. That's our centering mark. You may not be able to see it up here on the fabric, but the notch is there. We need the notches. That's very important. Margaret wants to know exactly which bag set. I see that Molly put the link up. It's the In the Hoop zippered bag set. It has 11 sizes of bags. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to change my camera view, and we're going to go over to my ScanNCut. But remember, you can do this on a silhouette. You can do it on a Cricut. It doesn't really matter. So I want to make sure that you can see the ScanNCut.
Someone's asking if you put interfacing on the back of your fabric.
Okay, someone asked about interfacing on the back of the fabric. On this fabric, since it's just a cotton fabric and mine happens to be kind of a little bit thin, I did put its SF101 onto the back of the piece of fabric. And Molly and I do that in a lot of our bags. Okay, so we're going to get started here. Let me find my stylus. All right, I just happen to have my file on my USB stick, so I'm going to retrieve it. Here it is. I'm doing the 5x7 zippered bag. This is Molly's file. This is the diamond. You can probably see that. Okay, so I'm just going to hit OK because that's the file I want. And it puts it up here in the corner, which is fine. I'm leaving it there. I'm not going to move it. When I loaded my double-sided adhesive onto my mat, I made sure it's right up here in the corner. What we want to do first is I'm going to cut this diamond pattern out because it needs to be cut at a half cut. So I need to go to Edit. You can see that it put a red box around the diamonds. I want to leave those because I'm going to cut those first. I'll hit the select button, and now you see the red box is around the entire outline. I don't want it to cut that right now, so I'm going to hit the trash can, hit OK. All I have are the diamond shapes, and that's what I want. So I'm going to hit OK, OK again. Please select, and I'm going to cut. I want to make sure my half cut is on. Right now you see it is off. I'm going to hit the little tool icon, scroll down, and turn half cut. Whoops. Turn half cut. Let me find it here. Turn half cut on and hit OK. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start. Stephanie would kill me that I am not doing a test cut, but I've done this before. So in fact, I did it, just last night, so I'm pretty sure everything's going to be okay. I'm not going to show you it actually cutting, but right now it is cutting on the mat just because I don't want to swing the camera around. So it's doing a half cut on the diamonds only right now. It's going to take it, take it less than a minute. Are there any questions, Molly?
There was a question a while back about the foil. Will it peel off?
Okay, the foil is not, someone asked if the foil will peel off. The foil will not peel off because we are going to heat press it down onto our fabric. So the foil isn't going to come off. I've done t-shirts with foil. This stuff is stuck down because it is pressed with heat onto an adhesive. So now this is finished cutting. I'm going to just hit OK. I'm not removing my mat. Do not unload the mat. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the home button and I'm going to bring that file right back in. If you haven't moved the file, it's going to load back in the exact same place. So let me bring the file right back in. All right, there's the file. That's what I want. So I hit OK. It's exactly where it was before. But this time, I don't want to cut the diamonds because I've already cut those. It's a little bit blurry. I think it's because when I go to touch and I put my hand in front, it gets blurry. So it's got the diamond selected, and that's what I want to get rid of. So I'm going to hit the trash can, hit OK. And you can see now it just has the outline. And it has the outline with the little notch. We need that. So that's what I want. I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to hit OK again because I'm not doing any kind of editing. Please select. I'm going to cut again. This time, though, I want to cut all the way through my adhesive. I'm only cutting the outline, and I want to cut all the way through. So I'm going to turn half cut off. You probably hear my dogs barking.
Can you explain again what half cut is for some people?
Okay, so someone is asking what half cut is. Anytime you cut HTV, which is heat transfer vinyl, or maybe you're using adhesive vinyl, like to put on, you're going to put it on a cup or a glass, you only want it to cut halfway. You want to still keep the carrier sheet on so that you're able to weed your file to apply it to something. Again, questions like that, if you join my friend Stephanie's in the Hoop Facebook group, I'm sorry, Stephanie's, so Stephanie Says Crafty group, she can explain all of this to you. Okay, so I want to make sure half cut is off. I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start. And this time it's cutting only the outline, and it's cutting all the way through the adhesive, the carrier sheet, both of them. So it's going to be cutting that. And I'm going to take these off the mat. I'm going to switch the camera around, and I'm going to, show you this coming off the mat. Okay, so now I'm done cutting my adhesive. So I'm going to hit OK. Now I'm going to unload my mat because I got to take the adhesive off. I've already loaded fabric onto another mat, and I know it's hard to see because my camera is like right there, but I did this to save time. So let me load this mat with my fabric on it. We get it loaded, and all I have to do is cut. I'm not moving anything. I'm not changing anything. I'm going to cut. And I'm going to go ahead and start, and it's going to cut my fabric. I tape my fabric down to my mat just because I don't want anything going on. I don't want anything happening. What my machine did with those noises that it made, it's determining how thick the whatever I put on my mat is. Okay, that's done cutting. I'm done. I'm going to unload this mat. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my camera off for a second here, just so that when I swing my the camera around, everything's not going to be spinning on you. Or I'll just come back to me. That'll be good. All right, so what I'm doing is I'm just spinning my camera around because I'm going to show you what I've cut, and we're going to be taking it off the mat. But I want to get my camera turned around. And here we go. I just want to get it set up so that it'll be ready. So you can take this if you want to do this, Molly. And let me kind of move these things out of the way, and I'm going to show you what I've cut. And we'll read our double-sided adhesive. So my camera's set up, and I'm going to go ahead and change that. All right, I'll start with the double-sided adhesive one. And I know it's hard to see this because it's clear, but let me just kind of pull it off my mat. So I'm pulling away what was, the excess adhesive that was cut. And let me pull up the little template here, the SVG that we cut out that we're going to use for the bag front. All right, and here it is. It's going to be hard to see the diamonds, but I'm going to be weeding this in just a second. But you can see the little notch right there on the edge. Let me put something dark behind it, and you'll be able to see that little notch. It cut out that notch, and it cut it exactly the size it needs to be. So let me just set that aside, and let's pull the fabric off the mat that I cut. The fabric piece, let's see, I'll just grab it from an edge here. And you can see it's cut the fabric the exact size it needs to be. And right there's that little notch that we need. The notch is important because that's how we're going to get everything centered. All right, so I have my fabric that I need, and I have my double-sided adhesive. Where's my one piece of fabric? Okay, so here's my fabric I cut. Here's my double-sided adhesive. This needs to be weeded. Weeding means we are taking away what I don't want on here. I'm going to remove like the carrier sheet, and in this case, I'm leaving the adhesive. Now this stuff is really sticky, so I like to just kind of get an edge started. Once I get this weeded, you're going to see those diamonds in there. Okay, and if I hold this down, it is really sticky, and I start pulling. Now you can start to see those diamond shapes. Are there any questions, Molly, while I'm doing this?
Someone's asking what blade you used for cutting the double-sided adhesive.
Okay, so for both the things, the fabric and the double-sided adhesive, I just use my regular blade. I don't really, switch a blade for fabric. I have good luck cutting just about anything with the standard mat and the regular blade. Now, I did use the fabric mat when I cut this piece of fabric, only because I needed a second mat. Like I said, I didn't want, to take longer by putting my fabric, getting it secured down. But now you can see these diamond shapes that were cut out. This is going to be the sticky adhesive that is going to get activated when the heat touches it. Molly's going to go over and press this to this piece of fabric. So what I'm going to do is I'm putting it, this is sticky. This is the sticky side. I'm putting it down over the fabric and I'm lining up the notches. And right now it's just kind of stuck with the adhesive. Molly is going to go to my heat press and she's going to press that for me. And let me change my camera so you guys can see me now. Whoops. Okay, so Molly's over at the heat press. She's pressing it at 305 degrees for 10 seconds. She's putting it in between two pieces of parchment paper. And that's because I kind of found doing this, and I think even Stephanie told us to do this. If you use the Teflon sheet, it's got kind of a little bit of a texture, and that will transfer over into your foil if you use it. So it's just being sandwiched in between two pieces of parchment paper. Molly's going to press it at 305 degrees for 10 seconds and then peel it off hot, which means you don't let it cool. As soon as it gets done being pressed, she's going to pull that off, and then she's going to bring it over here, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. So I'm going to just look to see if there's any questions. This is only for the In the Hoop zippered bag set, okay? No other embroidery garden bag sets will it work for. It's the large set that I've had that's been out for a while that has the 11 pieces in it, and Molly has linked to it a couple of times in the comments. So it has to be this set, and it has to be Molly's SVG files. All right, so Molly has pressed it, and she pulled off that carrier sheet. So now you see you can see that diamond pattern. So this is the double-sided adhesive. Right now it's not sticky because it's heat activated. D, I have a Stahl heat press. It's a Hottronics. It's just one that opens up. It's not a clamshell. I didn't have enough room for that. So this has been pressed. The next thing to do, and I'm going to switch my camera again so that you can, see me doing this. And let's get to the other camera. Okay, you can see the diamond shape still. There you go. You can see them there. Now you're going to take your piece of foil. You're going to put it shiny side up and just lay it on top. As long as it's covering, this pattern, it's fine. It doesn't have to be the exact same size. But Molly now is going to take this over to the heat press, put it between the two pieces of parchment paper, press it again for 305 degrees for 10 seconds. This is a cold peel. So when you put the foil on and press it, after it's pressed down, you're going to wait until it cools, and then you're going to peel the foil off. And again, you only want to press it one time. You don't want to, say, oops, maybe I better press it again. No, because if you do, it's going to, it's going to make it dull looking. So this is what we're going to go for. Molly's over at the heat press right now, making just another exact one, just like this. I'm going to show you how to peel the foil off. And then when that's done, this is the piece you will use in the zippered bag set as piece B. So Molly's bringing it over here right now. So I'm going to change my camera again. Okay, right now it's warm. So I'm going to let it cool. And are there any questions right now, Molly, while this is cooling? I want to make sure that it's nice and cool.
Someone says, can you use a Cricut maker? This was a question a while back. You may have answered it. But,
somebody wants to know if you can use a Cricut maker. Any cutting machine that can use an SVG file, you can do this with. let's see, there's something else that, while this is cooling, it's still just a tad bit warm. How did I do the little tassel? Now, again, this is Molly's tassel file. So what I did for that is, let me go ahead and change the camera back again. And I'm gonna, whoops, you know what? Let's leave it here. And I'm gonna show you how I'm actually going to peel this. It's all cool now, nice and cool. And all I'm gonna do is just peel it off. And look how cool that looks. And you can see how the light hits it. You can see all those different colors, and that's because this was the iridescent rainbow foil that I used. If you use one of the other foils, for example, if I use like this foil, it's not gonna have, you know, where it's gonna change color like this one. This is because I used the iridescent. But this would still look just as pretty. It's just not gonna have the color change on it. So let me go ahead, I'm gonna change the camera again. Whoops, I thought I hit it, I didn't. So here's the one that we just did. Again, this would be piece B. When the files stitch, the bag files stitch, let me just grab the 5x7 size because that's what this one is. So when all these bags stitch, first there's going to be a placement line, of course, to put your zipper. The next step is going to stitch down the zipper for you, so we don't have to worry about it shifting. But when it stitches it down, and it will be in the hoop, this one will be vertical. When it starts to stitch the edge of one of the bottom edge of the zipper down, it's going to stitch, stitch, and then what it does is it jogs outward a little bit and comes back in and finishes stitching the zipper down. That little area where it jogged out, that's a centering mark. And then that's where you put the notch, and I don't know if you can see it, but there is a little notch right here at the top. It's very small. That's where you line up the notch to the centering mark in the zipper, and that's all in the instructions, and that's how you get it centered on your bag so it's perfect. So to make the little tassel, here are some that Molly has made previously. Now, for the tassel, you take a piece of fabric, and I use black because that's the color I used on my bag, and you just cut it the size that Molly's instructions say to cut for whatever size tassel you're going to make. And you take a piece of double-sided adhesive, the same size, and heat press it down onto the fabric. Peel it hot, then put your foil shiny side up right on top, and then press it again, 305 degrees for 10 seconds, and wait until it cools and peel it off. And you're just going to have a piece of fabric that kind of looks like this. And see, it's just a whole piece of fabric. Here's just, you know, part of it. It's just a piece of fabric that has been foiled. Put this down on your mat. Make sure it's stuck down really well, and use Molly's SVG file, cut it out, and follow her instructions to complete making the tassel. So that's really this, and this is how one of them looks when it's cut out. And Molly has this is all the fringe, and Molly has the instructions included with her files on how to turn it into that cute little tassel. So I'm going to look if there are any other questions. Yes, Alice, this is just plain black fabric that I happen to use on this one. You can use any fabric you want. I just happen to want to use the black. I thought it would show up on camera better. That's why I did it on here. Stephanie, I do not sell the foil or the adhesive. Like I said, Mid-South Crafting Supplies has everything you need to recreate this. You can use HTV. There is a vinyl called Fashion, and that could even be used. And again, join Stephanie's group. She can tell you and explain all this stuff to you. How do you cut the cork ones? I just saw that question come up. Judy, you just put your cork on the mat and cut the cork one out. Let me grab my samples. I kind of threw them down here on the floor. So it's just the same way. You put it on your mat and you cut the cork. It cuts it exactly how it needs to be cut to work with the in the hoop zipper bag set. If you're using an iron, I knew that question was going to come up. Again, that's a question probably for Stephanie about an iron. I do know you're going to have the correct heat, and you're going to have even pressure, and you're going to have to be using your iron on a flat, hard surface. Vinyl or leather. Okay, we're talking, let's see, Donna says, whoops, wait a minute, Stephanie, vinyl or leather doesn't melt in a heat press. You're not going to use, if you're talking about marine vinyl or you're talking about leather, you're not pressing that. If you're using a material such as cork, marine vinyl, leather, pleather, any of those things, you just put the file on the mat and cut it. There's no heat press involved at all in it. The heat press becomes involved when you want to use foil, HTV, glitter HTV, those type of things. That's when the heat press becomes involved. Ginger, you can cut it cork right side up or upside down, whatever works for you. Okay, it all depends on your machine, you know, your match, your settings, all of that stuff. That's why I like to use the Brother ScanNCut. I don't have to change any settings. You notice when I cut what I cut, I went from cutting the double-sided adhesive to cutting the fabric. I didn't mess with any settings. That's what that auto blade does for you. It eliminates you having to do all that. Let's see. Do you have any other questions, Molly? Did you see any other questions come up?
No, you answered the questions that I've seen.
Okay, so let's see. Another thing I want to talk about was other upcoming embroidery garden classes. Okay, Judy just asked a good question. Foil on cork in the heat press. Molly, did you bring that sample in that you had?
Mm-hmm.
So Molly actually did that, and you can use foil on top of cork. Okay, the cork can go in the heat press. It's not a problem with it at all.
It looks a little distressed.
So on this one, Molly, this is just black foil on here. You could use HTV. You could use the glitter HTV on top of cork. I've seen it done. I've seen samples in Mid-South Sewing that had that a few years back. So the cork can go, or the foil, the HTV can go directly on top of the cork. Belle wants to know what ScanNCut I have. I have the Brother ScanNCut DX225, but any of them are going to cut cork, vinyl, etc. Let's see. Marie is saying that she uses a thermometer to check the temperature of her iron. You know, if you're going to use an iron, just practice. Okay, don't, you know, get your project with all your pretty fabrics and everything you want to use. I suggest you practice first. Okay, I'll wait for some more questions to come up. And while that is going, if you're using cork, Alice, Molly, do you have settings in your instructions?
I have some settings for guidelines.
Molly has some settings in her instructions to be used only as guidelines. You know, all machines are different. I don't care if everybody has, you know, the same machine, it may not cut exactly the same. So this is something that you would need to, after you get your cork or whatever material on your mat, do a test cut. Test cut, test cut, test cut is what Stephanie says. And I didn't do that today, but normally I do. Yes, Phyllis, this is going to be on Embroidery Garden's Facebook page. You can watch it later. So before I let you go, let me go and talk about upcoming classes that we have, and then I'll go back and see if there's any other questions. Let's see, on the 26th, which is Monday, Rhonda and I are going to be doing the My Happy Place mini quilt. This is a virtual class. All the classes are sold at embroiderygarden.com. Just click on classes, virtual classes. This is the little sewing machine that is so cute. And underneath the machine, you see it shiny. That's Mylar. Some people are going to even use foil. And we'll talk about that in class, how you can use foil. You don't have to have the adhesive, but you can use foil. So this is on Monday, the 26th. Then we're going to do on the 27th, we're going to do the America mini quilt hanging. Isn't that pretty? The Mylar on this one is underneath the flag. This can be used not just for 4th of July. There are lots of patriotic holidays. There are, other, Memorial Day, Labor Day, Veterans Day, Flag Day, all kinds of holidays that can be used for. On the 30th, we're going to be doing Hello Summer. This is a real fun one. The umbrella and the sun are the Mylar designs. And then on the August 4th, I'm going to be having a free virtual dime event called She Shed, where you're going to get tons of tips about embroidery, and you're going to have access to lots of bundled special pricing and other special pricing on dime products. That's on the 4th. You have to register for that. On the 18th and 19th of August, I'm going to repeat the So Cute Mini Hanging. That's a 2-day virtual class, and the link is on Embroidery Garden's Facebook page. And then on the 21st, I'm doing something a little bit different. I've partnered with OSQE, Original Sewing and Quilting Expo, and I'm doing an online class for this armchair caddy. It's going to fit in a 6x10 hoop. It's got some pockets. It can sit on the arm of your chair like this. You can do handwork, cross stitch, any kind of crafty things. Keep all your supplies here. This one has a little thread caddy on it, and it also has the weighted pin cushion and the little flower that will hold your clips. This class is through OSQE, and you go to sewingexpo.com to find this class. So I want to go back to check any other questions. I did see one about the tape that I used. Okay, so the tape that I use, that I tape my fabric down with, it's washi tape. It's very inexpensive. It holds things down well and comes off your mat really good. That's a tip from Stephanie. The rainbow foil that I used, let me grab it. Now, if you go to Mid-South Crafting and look at the foils, I think there are 3 different ones. They call them holographic rainbow 1, 2, and 3. I don't really know which one this one is, if it's 1, 2, or 3, but any of those would give that same effect as when the light hits it, it'll kind of shimmer and give you different colors. Let's see. Any other questions, Molly?
No, you answered the ones I had.
Okay, so I want to thank you all for joining us. Remember, you can rewatch this video on Embroidery Garden's Facebook page. Remember to join Embroidery Gardens in the Hoop Facebook group. Join Molly's in the Hoop Facebook group. She can give you some more tips on her SVG files. And, thanks for joining. I have been doing these monthly demos since January. There'll be one in August. Stay tuned to see what I'm going to be doing next month. So if there aren't any other questions, wait, I see one last one. For the OSQE class, you will have to go to their website and read, all the terms and stuff on that website, Patty, to know what, to know about their classes. All that information is there. How about some hearts? Dara, Molly did hearts. I showed some of them. You might have come in late, but she does have a whole set of hearts. She's got the petals, which we call this one. She has hearts, and she has the brand new diamonds. So those are on sale, remember, until Sunday night at midnight for 20% off on Molly's website, mollymadedesigns.com. The In the Hoop zippered bag set, the large set, is on sale for 20% off on Embroidery Garden's website, embroiderygarden.com, until Sunday night, 20% off. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining, and I'll see you next month at the next demo. Bye.